right? The grocery tax. Now, I've had Ron Nate and Lauren Nekachea on. Both talked about this, but both of them failed to tell me, or, we were talking fast, perhaps they just forgot, that there's a tax rebate associated for Idaho citizens. So what that means is I pay a certain portion of tax for every dollar I spend on groceries. And at the end of the year, I can actually apply based on the number of people within my household, not in an itemized manner, though some people are bringing up that issue, but I can apply based on the number of people in my household on a tax form, just check a box, and I get a rebate back. That's very curious to me. I had, and again, I didn't understand that initially. Then I had Representative Levitt in here who was talking about repealing the grocery tax. I'm like, okay, that seems like, why are we taxing groceries? And then last stop, I had Lieutenant Governor Scott Betke in, and he said off air, he's like, listen, the grocery tax captures taxes from people who don't live in Idaho. And I was like, it's curious because the grocery store has to be in Idaho. He's like, yeah, but all of the hunters, all of the tourists, illegal immigrants, unauthorized workforce, all of those people that travel through Idaho, those people pay into this tax system and they are not eligible for a tax rebate. So we are trying to protect Idahoans by giving them this rebate while capturing out-of-state dollars in this mechanism. And I thought about that all weekend. I was like, God bless it. That's pretty smart. So you're running a bill to increase from, I believe, $125 per person to $155 per person?
120 to 155.
120 to 155. You're Correct. Running a bill to increase that, and it's more if you're a little bit older. Okay, but just for me and my family, I would have, I would theoretically, if this passes, I'll have $155 per person in my household that I can apply to get rebated at the end of the year. Is that accurate?
Yes.
God bless America. Talk to me about this.
So, Matt, if it's okay, I'm going to back up a little bit here.
Take your time.
Anya, I am a guy who will cut any taxes out there, and people make it this dichotomy, like, well, you either support the credit or you want to cut the grocery tax altogether. I'm like, well, actually, I'd love to get rid of it altogether, but I look at grocery tax as a consumption tax. We roughly pay 3 taxes in Idaho: income tax, property tax, and consumption tax, sales tax.
Sure.
Of those 3 taxes, I think property tax is the most egregious. It's the most unfair tax out there because you never own your home. I don't care who you are, I don't care where you are, you do not own your home. Go ahead and stop paying those property taxes and tell me how long you own that home. You won't.
Yeah, if I may, that was the point that was very well made in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Kiyosaki was like, listen, you never, it's called mortgage from the French word, to death. And he's like, even if you pay off your mortgage, real estate is the royal's estate, right? That's where the words are derived from. He's like, it's not yours, it's the state's.
I made, a number of years ago, I presented a bill that actually eliminated all property tax in Idaho, and you had to do that by increasing the sales tax up to about 12 cents, which is pretty high, I know. And so it was more of a thought exercise as far as what would it take to do that. And in that statement of purpose, I said, property tax is a vestige of the old medieval system. The old lords and ladies, if you want to keep your land, you pay your king, the money, or you're going to lose that land. And that's kind of how it is, right? That's what we continue to do. So of those 3 taxes, I think I hate property tax the most. The next tax I hate the most is income tax. Consumption tax, still don't like it, but to me, that's the fairest tax out there. I think for conservative Republicans for years have been talking about a national sales tax, get rid of the income tax, and that's the tax that we should all rally around if we're going to do one. So when you ask me, which tax do I want to cut? Well, I want to cut income tax, I want to cut property tax, and I will cut sales tax too, if I need to, if we've got the money and are able to do it. But that's the last tax I would cut if I was in charge. I have a voice, I have a vote, and so that's the way I look at it. Right now, we actually changed our credit for groceries that we're buying, this food credit. It used to be $100 2 years ago. Well, 2 tax years ago. 2 tax years ago, it was at $100, and if you're over 65, it's $120. So we changed that. We ran it up to $120 and $140. So that's what we changed it to, just literally 2 tax cycles ago. So this is really a 30% increase from that just a few years ago. All I'm trying to do is put $50 million back into people's hands. That's roughly what that credit would do. Is to get more money back into the pockets of Idahoans. And I think people are trying to make this a difficult concept, like, oh, we should do something this. I got $50 million that I can give because we have other tax priorities right now this year to the tune of about $400 million in cuts. That's what's on the table, about $450 million in cuts that we are trying to do. Income tax, property tax, and some sales tax. We're recognizing that inflationary costs, we all know it's more expensive to get groceries, right? Every one of us has gone to the grocery store and you see how much that is. My wife sells her eggs from her chickens. And I'll tell you what, man, she could charge a fortune if she wanted to. And she's like, I just can't charge more than that. I don't think it's fair. I'm like, honey, it's like $5 in the grocery store, $7 for your,
Yeah.
And
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot. And so we're recognizing that groceries have gone up. They haven't gone up 30% as far as inflation on food in the last 2 years, but that's what this increase is. And I think it's a fair increase. And I think that's what we should do, because why would I want to forego, as you mentioned, all that tax money that's coming in from out of state? We talk about all the time, for example, the parks and recs. You want to reserve a spot up in the mountains here, man, it is difficult. It is tough because they're all booked up.
Right.
And half of them are coming out from out of state folks. It ticks me off when I want to find a spot, right? Because these guys from everywhere else. I've said, you know what? Raise the price on out of state as much as you want. I don't care. Leave the Idahoan cost down,
right,
and raise that, double it, triple it, whatever we can do to, if that's what we need to pay for those things. I would much rather have those guys pay for it than I would Idahoans.